Greetings, my name is Essa Bokarr Sey. On our session today, we are going to discuss the following. Partitioning of Africa to exploit it within. The exploitation is equally being facilitated by Africans and exploiters partnering with Africans within and outside. The most worrisome part of the whole thing is that the prescriptions that come with so-called investors and partners in development or networks of networks of interest groups is that they come with prescriptions, and that these prescriptions may be attractive, but definitely not any medicine that would serve our interest. Therefore, they come with addictions, and these addictions are feelings and desires. Now, to that effect, when it comes to the partitioning of Africa, or some would be bold enough to call it looting Africa, be informed or at best be educated that there are indeed networks of interest groups, particularly in the industrialized countries. And these networks of interest groups are composed of highly sophisticated and highly educated people, most of whom go through business groups and the like. Therefore, one may think that the very machine that was exploiting Africa is dead, when actually it is not. And remember, even though the colonialist is gone, but the interest groups that propelled those countries at the time to colonize Africa remain there in different forms and shapes. But we cannot also export the blame without importing some of the blame. History reminds us of the likes of King Leopold of Belgium. Of course, Africans were on the ground helping spread terror for him to be able to terrorize and take over the minds of people with fear, and then get that rubber to send it out to sell it, free labor, which of course means making profit 360 degrees. We should also remember that. Therefore, that part of the whole story should be left here, and then we'll be reminding ourselves and the leaders, particularly new leaders of that wave too. Some of these interest groups or networks of interest groups use corrupt, naive, novice or new governments. Anything that you are new in doesn't mean that you are not intelligent, but you are a novice in it. Therefore, you must be careful, especially in this world of today, where interest is a landmine with booby traps. That being the case, the same lessons were advanced to people like Yahya Jammeh when he came to power newly. Some of it he began to look into and work side by side with those advices, but later on desires and the feelings mixed with desires compelled him or overwhelmed him, because they found in his body and his character that what was embedded within is fake. But what he was showing outside, he was claiming to be a revolutionary, which he is not. Therefore, revolutionaries do not change along the way because of desires. No. Number one desire for any person, if you were to go with desire, should be the desire to serve your people and to turn your country into an economic power. Without a powerful economic base, we will never occupy the respect or the position of respect we deserve in the world community of nations, beginning with the WTO, another organization which is the World Trade Organization. We most of the time talk about United Nations and other organizations, but let me tell you one thing. These organizations that are based on economy are the most important, because economy is the machine that will make you earn respect. Now, these prescriptions that come are indeed, as I said earlier, with addictions. And this medicine, of course, is not standard but generic, but can be addictive. Now, it is where the addiction turns into the desire to gather wealth by any means necessary. And now the means at the disposal of the desirous could be a state. That is where one needs to be very careful. Sometimes the intentions will be very good, but along the way you may meet interest groups that are very cunning and sometimes sophisticated in hiding their real motives, and they would appear supportive and genuine, when in actual fact, when you keep going with them side by side, we will come to realize that no, it is not for the interest of the people, but instead it is for the interest of the network of interest groups, particularly those in industrialized countries. Remember, however much we sugarcoat it, this competition, the industrialized country will never want the third world country to win it, because they wouldn't want to remain stagnant and we come and overtake them. That is the fact. Now, let us see it another way here. States in the third world countries and states in those industrialized countries do usually serve as bridges between the two people in those two countries or societies. Now, should states, particularly states within countries like ours, should they be that naive or gullible or uninformed to serve as bridges of exploiters? I don't think they should. Now, which therefore means state-to-state relations should be twinned with people-to-people relations. You know, where people-to-people relation flank state-to-state relations, it becomes an assurance that we are going to live through checks and balances, transparency, accountability, and probity, and then it will lead us to self-reliance. Let it not be a song. It should be a soul. It should be a spirit in us. That ends the first part. Stay tuned. I'll bring you the second part in English, and then we'll try to do the translations in Wolof. I'm your brother Essa Bokarr Sey.